success stories told by the people who lived them.
We're going to have some guests on this show that everybody knows, and we're going to have guests on this show that nobody knows yet.
One by one, Nick Hyder is adding hits to the Hitstreak.
Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, I've got an extra special treat for you joining me in the Hitlab today. This dude is a freaking star, folks. Check it out. You have seen him in Entrepreneur Magazine and featured in New York Weekly's 30 Under 30, right? He's currently on his Scale Your Ads tour coming to a city near you. He is the owner at Wojo Media. The man, the myth, the legend, Jason Wojciechowicz is in the Hitlab, baby. How we doing?
Good, man. I'm doing great. Yeah, it was a crazy plane ride, but we made it. And, dude, I'm just pumped. Like, this whole podcast tour and the events, I'm excited to be here and, share the time with you. And, dude, this is really exciting. Heck
yeah, man. Well, it's a crazy windy day in Nashville. It's out of the norm. And I'm sure landing this morning was quite the adventure.
It was rough. I've been on so many flights, and I've never had that much turbulence before. This girl had her phone broke. This one girl hit her head. They weren't able to serve food because It was just so yeah. I mean, at one point, I'm not going to lie, probably 15 minutes before we landed, there was this one big gap where we just fell in the air. And I actually thought for a second it was all over. I was like, what is going on?
Oh, man. Well, we're awfully glad you made it. And, it would have been, if something bad had happened, it would have been horrible. And, to make light of a situation that didn't happen, it would have been terrible to have those shoes get anything happen to them in an evacuation of an airplane. You know what I'm saying? He's got his J's on, folks.
Dude, I freaking love Jordans. They're so great. I wasn't into high tops a lot. I was into low tops and lower joggers. And then I got into high socks and then, having high tops.
That's right.
And I'm just addicted to them now. Every single new colorway, click and buy. Every single time I get the notification, I'm just like, oh, this is such a bad addiction.
A man after my own taste. That's right. Folks, check it out. He has sold around $140 million online with social media ads, right? So, Jason, help the folks out understand what that actually means. 140 million online with social media ads in sold. So that means you've sold $140 million worth of ads, or it's generated that revenue. Paint a picture for what that means for all the folks out there.
Yeah. So we've ran ads in 90 plus niches. These are online business owners, service-based businesses, anything from e-com to lead gen to personal branding, etc. We run this traffic on social media platforms. We acquire leads, we get buyers, and that's the revenue that we generated for clients. So we spent about $34 million on ads to generate 140. So it's over a 4 ROAS, which means that every dollar we give the ad platform, we're usually getting $4 on average back. And that's across tons of niches. So the strategies and things we're able to do are just universal.
Dude, that's awesome. I gotta ask, you got a very interesting story on how you kind of got into this. You know what I'm saying? Dude, folks, he's 26 years old. All right. Dude, you're kicking the world's behind today at your age. I'm just telling you, I've been around a lot of folks. I've recruited a lot of people in their 20s, and some of them, much like me when I retired from baseball at 27, had a lot of growing up to do. You know what I mean? I didn't understand a lot about life, including how I didn't understand money. I knew how to make it, but I didn't know what to do with it when I had it. Didn't know how to manage it. Didn't know how to scale it. Didn't know how to invest it. So I never had any. I could make it, but yet I never had any, right? Yeah. So at 26 years old, dude, you're literally you could still be on your parents' health insurance up to this age. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that you're doing this. So congratulations, honestly.
I appreciate it.
You should be an inspiration to everybody under the age of 30 and probably a lot of folks above the age of 30, especially parents raising kids. I know as I'm sitting here talking to you today, you're closer to my son's age than you are mine.
Wow.
Right? That's crazy. I know. I'm 43. So 26, bro. Congratulations. How'd you get into this, man?
Yeah. I mean, before I get into that, first off that was an interesting point that you said about how people before 30 are not crazy mature. And we had to learn that in our business because we were trying to hire people who we thought were youthful and young.
Yeah.
But we stopped recently. Anybody below 30, we're not hiring anymore. And it's because I guess their overall mindset, just their brain just doesn't function at a high level yet to where they have these obligations in the back end to where they actually have to provide and protect for families and whatnot. When they're young, they can get shiny object syndrome and joke around and they don't have a lot of this accountability. But yeah, dude, I started when I was in culinary school. Crazy story. I was working at a cafe when I was a kid while I was in high school, making $5 an hour under the table. Crazy.
That's the best $5 you can make though, under the table.
I'm telling you, I thought $5 an hour back then in cash was the craziest thing. And like, I was working there and I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to college. I had no idea. I had no self-awareness. I was actually really lost because I lived in a sheltered home. Like, we had night curfews. My parents worked 2 jobs. Like, I didn't have freedom to like stay out till 11 o'clock and, hang out in my friend's basement and have those like parties.
Oh yeah.
But dude, I worked there. I asked my boss, like, what should I do? And he told me to go to culinary school. He's like, hey, you already know how to cook a little bit. You might as well go to culinary school. So I went to SUNY Delhi. It's upstate New York. And while I was there, man, I wasn't very social and I had to get out of my shell. So I decided to live outside of campus, which forced me to I tried pledging for a frat. That didn't go well until the last day. That was weird. We're not going to talk about that.
All right.
But yeah, dude, like, I had to become more social. And when I became more social, I was able to just like be more attracted to other things outside of just school and like being this goody two shoes kid that was just good at grades and that was it. And while I was doing that, I was very rebellious. I started going to parties and doing all that. And I just stopped going to class. I hated it. I hated being told what to do. I hated going on 6-hour labs, like just cooking.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is not me. And one day it was really snowy upstate New York. And I had to get my Ford Focus like out of the snow just to go to the grocery mart. And I'm getting my snow shovel out. And like, there was a shoebox in the back of my car. And it had a bunch of Pokemon cards. Like, I was really big into like Mario Kart and Wii and Nintendo. And like, I took the box, I went upstairs, and like, I started going through the cards. And I was like, these are in really good condition. Like, how did they not get wrecked in the trunk? And I start taking them out. I go on eBay. I start searching the cards and I'm like $8, $9, $20, $30. I was like, there's something here.
It adds up.
And dude, to a college kid, like, my dad gave me $80 a month in college. That's not a lot of money. Like,
Right.
I was barely able to do anything with $80.
That's right.
So I was flipping the cards, post on eBay. I started learning about shipping, all these things, dude. It was nuts. I was going to the post office 5-6 times a day, not going to class. I wound up flunking out. I was making like $200 a week flipping Pokemon cards. And I was like, damn, that's a lot to me. And I wind up dropping out of culinary school and moved back in with my parents to go to business school. And, I had the social abilities now because I was using that money.
Yeah.
$200 a week, by the way. If you're in college, you can party pretty hard with $200 in a weekend.
That's right.
So I was becoming very social. I was the guy who brought the beer. I was basically getting in the right parties and rooms and networking and like getting out of my shell. And that's what allowed me to do really well in business school and then networking outside of it. And then that's when I started, going online. I'm on eBay. You see ads. I'm searching YouTube videos on how to be better at flipping. And I come across Ty Lopez's video. And that was the SMMA course he released years ago. And at the time it was $9.97. So I spent $997 on the course, which was a lot to me at the time. And I started going through it and I started approaching like barbershops, restaurants, like local brick and mortars. $300 a month, $200 a month for social media management. And I was closing people. I had about 8 clients paying about $250 a month.
Wow.
Nothing insane, but it allowed me to save money and live at home. And for those 3 years, I stacked cash. And my dad came to me one day and he was like, yeah, you're either going to stay here after school and you're going to pay rent or you can leave. So I wind up leaving because he wanted like $600 a month. And I was like, I could just go live in Florida for $750 and live in some college house. And that's what I did. I went on Facebook Marketplace, found a place, moved the very next day. While all that's happening, I found the clothing brand client that I was talking about before, where I was making these videos online like, hey, college is not everything. Like, I was able to make $1,600 a month while in college doing social media management. And they wind up seeing my videos. They ship me some clothes and I make these videos. And the owner, Greg Berry, he was like, dude, these videos outperformed all of our ads. And I was like, what is an ad? So I met up with him for lunch in Connecticut. And this is what really allowed me to move out more comfortably. So I'm sitting there at lunch and he's like, dude, I'll pay you. We'll fly you around. You go to certain cities and you make the videos with the shirts. We'll run them as ads. You manage the ads. I'll give you $4,000 a month. I was like, $4,000 a month?
That's
Bro,
right.
I had no idea what that felt like.
That's right.
And I'm driving him to the mall nearby because he's like, oh, my wife and kids are at the mall. You got to drop me off. So I drop them off, and while I'm getting dropped off, my phone goes off, and it's the $4,000 PayPal. And I was like, dude, I felt like my life was just like completely going to a completely different level. Like I had a huge money block too, so it kind of felt weird receiving $4,000. Mm-hmm. And that's when things really just catapulted. I went down to Florida. I started grinding on the business, just doing more services like that. I learned so much. We took that brand Hustle Island with the shirts to 21,000 paying customers in 11 months. We did a little bit over 1.1 mil. He dropped the business, sold it. And then me and my friend Troy, who I was working with at the time at Hustle Island, we went out on our own. And that's when we started our own agencies. And then now we're here.
Man, that's awesome, bro. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Straight up congratulations, dude. That's fantastic. You are making so many great decisions that you see a lot of the other greats run around doing. You're literally on, we're going to talk about your Scale Your Ads tour here in just a bit. But while you're on tour, you're also on basically a little mini podcast tour, hitting the circuits. And you've learned a lot about building your brand from going on other people's shows like this one, and so on and so forth. I know when the team's building out my schedule, not only we aim to shoot at least 1 to 2 episodes a week of this sucker, mostly 2, and then there's 1 to 2 other appearances that I make. That's the goals every single week that they're shooting for, whether it's on somebody else's show or a keynote or whatever. And then over the course of a year, that equals a whole lot of footage, a whole lot of stuff, right? So not only are you getting content, but you're building your brand and you're getting some conversions, right? So what have you learned when you're doing that?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is like what we noticed is I look a lot younger, right? And I want to attract like better business owners inside of my ecosystem and in my business and the private people that I work with. And I just wasn't able to attract those people by sitting behind the camera and just like not having the association factor. And I'm not saying that like, yeah, I'm not mature to attract the right clients, but like people still have a stipulation. If you're a 35-year-old business owner, 40-year-old business owner who's doing 7-8 figures, sometimes it's hard to trust somebody who's young like me.
Yeah.
It's hard to click that ad because you would resonate with somebody who's around your age.
That's right.
So I was like, hey, how do we get around this? And like last year, dude, we did well, but we still weren't able to attract those bigger heavy hitter clients. And I was like, hey, like I'm really good at what I do. I need to get my message out there. And over the last 3 months, I've been on, I think 38 podcasts. I've flown all around and I'm just getting in the right rooms. Like I go on a podcast, we vibe, sometimes it's not the right fit. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
And we vibe and they're like, hey, I have an event in 2 months. Come speak at it. Or they're like, hey, I have this funnel. You want to look at it or whatever it is. Like I'm just doing it just to help people out. And then they wind up being like, hey, like just do it for me. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it for you.
Right.
And that all catapulted after the Ryan Pineda podcast and Chris Crohn's. And then after that, it was just like the snowball effect. And also we're attracting better people.
Yeah.
Like people will see me on this podcast and all the other ones. And they're like, dude, like I've been following you. I've been watching you. I saw this video. I saw this podcast. Like it's just a snowball effect. And what people don't realize about brand building is that brand building is not about this money input and money output thing.
Right.
Like brand is this intellectual property that you have that's custom to your audience.
Yeah.
And just what we've realized, man, is just if I'm out there more, then more eyeballs are going to be on me. So the more eyeballs I get, the more attention I'm able to get. And honestly, growing in your business is more about day trading attention. That's why all the heavy hitters like you and everybody else in the space is doing their own podcast because it gets more attention.
Absolutely. It's great sources of content as well, right? Great sources of content.
You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You make a connection, you get short reels, you partner with them, you go on YouTube, you have long form now. You can chop up long form into even your own long form and short form. Like you're killing so many birds at once.
That's right. That's right. And it's always high quality. You're always, even if you always just look like an expert at whatever you're talking about if the production's good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can handle yourself in front of a microphone and on camera and like, dude, and even if what you're saying is totally wrong. I mean, there's a lot of folks that believe some crazy stuff out there because of the way that it was packaged and presented to them,
Yeah.
And how many times they heard it. I think that there's a lot of repetition, as you know, in the world of ads, dude. So let's talk about those ads just a little bit. What was it that you learned? What did you do right that first time that made those things go nuts online? What was it that you did right by accident?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I see with business owners right now is they look at ads as an expense. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, we're spending money on paid traffic. We better make money today. And I'm like, dude, as soon as you think about it that way, you lose completely, right? And the big switch for us was offers. people think the ad is the only thing that matters. Like, it's not. The ad is 25% of the puzzle. The first 25% is your offer.
Yeah.
So like, what do I say? What's my messaging? How do I make my offer in business so irresistible that my front end traffic is like, dude, I want what you have to offer. So they go in there, they opt in, they buy, they sign up for a free training, whatever it is. The second one is like, what is on that page? So like, people talk about conversion rates. No one thinks about that at scale. It's like, okay, you have a great offer, you're driving traffic, but what's your conversion rate? Is the messaging on point to even attract the type of avatar that you want?
Yeah.
And then third is the ads, but the omnipresence. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you might be running ads on just Facebook, and you think that Facebook is the holy god of advertising. And the problem with that is that there's so many other platforms out there. There's YouTube, there's Snapchat, there's LinkedIn, there's Google search, there's native. Like, there's so many different platforms you should be running ads on. TikTok as well. Like, you don't know where your audience is. And that's how the omnipresence of swarming the prospect around the internet is so important.
Right.
But for the last 5 years, and still to this very day, everybody's like, oh, Facebook, Facebook, Facebook. And I'm like, dude, they have tons of data, but it's not the end all be all. You have to spread your traffic sources.
That's right.
And then fourth are the KPIs. Like, what are the numbers in your business that actually dictate success? So like, yeah, your cost per clicks could be great. Your CTRs could be great. Your conversion rate could be great. But what's your average order value? What's your lifetime value? What's your show rates on the phone? What's your close rates? What's your 90-day lifetime value? Like, what are those numbers in the business that dictate advertising success? Because there's a lot of advertising that I pay for that doesn't pay me today. Like, we run ads for our events weeks out. I don't see that money until the event. And I'm not even guaranteeing those people will buy anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, you need to have a good sales process to make sure that you're stretching every single ad dollar. And the problem is that ads are one click, publish, done, make money. Building a good sales team, having a good offer, having good emails, having a good ecosystem, doing organic, all these things that are in that sphere that I talk about are hard. And they don't want to do it.
Why don't they want to do it, you think?
Because they're lazy.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes somebody's just got to say it.
I want to thank all of our loyal fans that spread across all 50 states and 14 different countries. It's absolutely amazing. Folks, help us keep spreading the word, right? Share your favorite episodes with friends and make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Thanks again, and we look forward to more.
I think it's really important. The world's full of a lot of nice guys. I'd rather be a good guy than a nice guy. A good guy's got to tell you what you need to hear, even if it hurts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The truth. A bad guy, a nice guy is going to tell you what you want to hear, even if it ain't true. You know what I mean? So I'd rather be a good guy.
Business owners buy into that all the time. They just want to be told the things that they've always been thinking. Like, you see that all the time on sales calls. Yeah, like, you're so right. I've been thinking that this whole time. I'm like, no, you're feeding into the thing again. Like, you're feeding into the instant gratification again. Stop letting people tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
It's crazy.
So you're talking about the timeline of an ad cycle, the life of an ad. And, I think that Rob Dyrdek said, nobody that can clearly see they set a goal, they can clearly see how to get to it. They can see the body of work it takes. They can see the end is in sight. They don't quit when that happens. Basically, quitters lack clarity, right? And I think just dealing with, the Hitlab's own clients and telling them, like, guys, don't even look up for 12 months, right? We're going to put our heads down. We're going to hustle. We're going to bust it. And we're going to look up. We're going to analyze along the way, but we're not even going to look up for 12 months.
Yeah.
All right. That's the commitment we're going to make. Never fails. 60 to 90 days in, they got lots of questions. Oh, I don't know if this is working. I don't know if it's for me. It takes a little bit of time, especially depending on where they started from. If they were starting from scratch or if they had some momentum or whatever it may be, right? So quitters lack clarity. What are some of the biggest things that the top things that these business owners are making mistakes when they're making decisions on whether they keep going, put more money, put more gasoline on the fire, or whatever it may be? Because, like, again, once I start, I'm not going to stop until it works. Like, if you do, it's just wasted time, wasted money, wasted resources, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is, like, business owners will spend money on, like, ads and traffic, but they're not spending what they could be spending. So that's the biggest difference I actually see, is that they just don't want to keep going because they're impatient. Right? And they are so jealous of everybody else online. It's the killer of comparison. They start running ads, and then they see somebody else running ads in the same niche, and they're like, well, they're making so much money. Why aren't I? And I'm like, dude, different people, different systems, different processes, different price points, different brands. Like, you can't do that. You're killing your own mind by doing that comparison. The other thing is that you put a budget on marketing, and you're like, hey, here's our monthly budget for marketing. But like, you're doing that because you're like, hey, here's how much I'm actually like willing to lose until I lose my, you know what. But then if you raise the bar higher and you're spending more, you're intrinsically forced to solve the problems because paid ads exposes the issues in your business. So you're either attracting the wrong people, your sales team's not as great as you thought they were, your product is not as great as you thought it were. It exposes issues. Like, well, we saw a lot of things when we ran ads. Like, why are our show rates lower? This was 2 years ago. Why are our show rates lower? Well, Wojo, you're not posting a lot of content. Like, no one wants to show up for a call when you're not a leading authority. I never thought of it that way. Well, let's post daily. Show rates went up. Also, people are getting on the call and they're like, hey, I didn't really have enough info to go over on before the call. Okay, now we're going to make a video that's 40 minutes long for you to watch before you hop on the call. We're going to call it a homework video. You watch that. Okay, now we make more money. What else is the problem? Well, they want to see why you're different. Okay, I got to make a VSL on why we're different. Like, I'm just answering what the market's telling me. That's all ads are. I'm just letting the market decide for me what problems I need to fix. And the solutions also cost money and time.
That's right.
So it's like, just the biggest thing for me is just that's what I see with business owners. They're just kind of lost with the impatience factor. They just lose money and they get emotional. They have to look at the numbers. Like, when you pull emotions in, dude, you ruin your environment. You ruin your ecosystem too, because it's not only about you. As you grow and scale, you have to build a team. And you can't be emotional to the point where you're pushing your team away, because that's the backbone of the business is systems and people.
Yeah, man, it's really hard to not get emotional about money, but you can't. You know, money isn't a living, breathing thing. You know what I mean? It's just and it's abundant and it's everywhere, and it. You know, there's always a cost to make mistakes, to learn. Like, you pay for education everywhere else. Why won't you pay for it when building out ads? You know what I mean? If you think about it that way. So it's on how you frame it, right? It's on how you package it and frame it. But and another thing too, like, very few, especially new businesses, have an adequate marketing budget, period. Not even close. Not even close. What would be... So how would a business owner go about creating an ad budget in the beginning based on forecasts?
I mean, the biggest thing I'd say is like 20% of your forecast, definitely 20%. I've seen budgets higher than that, which is based off your margin though, because like, you could be making 40% margins and you want to put 15% in, but like, what people don't realize is that ads drive revenue. You need top line revenue. So what happens is if they start running ads and it starts making them money, they get greedy to save more money now. They're like, oh, it's working. I don't want to increase it because we just made X amount of money last month and I just want to keep it here. But it's like, you got to put fuel on the fire. You got to keep scaling it. Like, it's not only about algorithms, but like in general, when an offer is working, you want to be able to squeeze as much out of it as possible. Because you never know what kind of competitor is going to come in and steal it from you, or someone's funnel hacking, or whatever the case may be. Like, you got to squeeze as much juice as possible out of that. And the juice is the revenue.
That's right.
Also, when you're building a new budget, I hate to be the one to say this, but like, if you're trying to build a business and you don't have a marketing budget, like, you shouldn't have a business. Like, if you're not spending money on traffic or organic or partnerships or going to events or doing networking events, like, how are you going to get eyeballs on your product? And that's why most businesses fail, is they don't have that predictability. When you're running ads, you can wake up every morning and say, hey, we spent $1,000 today. I'm probably going to have 12 book calls today. But business owners want to go the organic route of like, oh, I'm just going to hope to the Lord that I wake up tomorrow and I have 3 book calls before noon. It's just not the way it works. So that predictability drives consistency, and the consistency drives results.
Yeah, it's I love Frank Kern. I love Frank Kern, and I love how he explains things. And I love he has in talking about just social media touches, right? So we actually checked a lot of the analytics based on what we learned, what we've studied and learned from him. And right now it's about 32 touches around over 22 days across all digital, whether it be email, text message, phone call, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. About 32 touches over 20 days. And so his formula is goodwill, right? Which is basically like I put out a video for free for you, right? I put it out plus offers times frequency equals money, right? So that's basically what you're saying. The frequency part is really important. You know, we in the world of podcasting, and when I've studied it, I've realized that like it started out just like radio did. Well, radio evolved into TV, and podcasting now all of a sudden you video it, much like TV. And I've noticed that the ad spend on the podcast and whatnot is growing, mirror image it like it grew in television based on the transition from radio to TV. Both of them still exist. And to this day, the biggest platform in which people listen to this show is on Apple Podcasts, where they don't watch the video. They're streaming the audio only, right? But the ad spend's still good because we got the video on the two places. But you see that commercial on TV on the favorite show you watch, you're going to see that Taco Bell or Pizza Hut commercial, whatever it may be, over and over. They're not just going to run it one time. And that's the thing that we're teaching our clients here at the Hitlab, on top of once you get the frequency right, well, then if it's still not working, well, then we know that there's a problem with your commercial or your ad. Is it as good as it could be? Yeah. Is the hook as good as it could be? Is the value prop clearly defined? And then is there a clear call to action on what to do when you see that? And how many call to actions do you need for the exact same message or the exact same ad? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the other thing too to add to that is if the ad itself is crushing, right? Then it's just reverse engineering what that best hook was, or reverse engineering maybe the background or a certain amount of social proof, whatever it is. Because a funny point to bring up is that people look at the ad like, oh, I have to try all these different things, but being simple sells. So like if I try to make simple hooks and I have a simple message, it's easier for the audience to actually digest it. The problem is that people overcomplicate an ad because they want it to be complex. They're like, oh, an ad's got to be this crazy complex thing. And it's like, it's not, because if you're making it complex, the audience is now complexifying what your message is. And that brings me to one of my favorite points, which is, dude, making money is boring. And when you're growing and scaling a business, like you have to do the boring things over and over again. So that commercial that runs over and over again, it's not because they're annoying you, it's because they know it works.
That's right.
And they don't want to change it because they're not going to change something that's not broken. That's right. So it's like, dude, like scaling and growing ads and growing revenue, it's boring stuff because it's the same thing over and over again. So like that's a big piece. The other thing too that I've seen is on top of the hooks and different commercials or different creatives, the best way to like actually grow ad spend and spend more is just by having more creatives that are like the winner. Like my scripts are the same in all of my ads. I just change my background. I'll change my background. I'll change like maybe the first couple of seconds, maybe I'm walking towards the camera. Maybe I'm standing. Maybe I have a cool background. You know, like it just depends. But they will think it's different because the background or the ambiance is different, even though it's the same messaging, because I don't want to overcomplicate it. And when you have that same ad running and running and running, that's when you start to build a tagline, or people start to come up to you in public like, yo, I've seen your stuff. Like, I see that ad. You run the same. I'm like, yeah, because it works. If it's broke, I'm not going to fix it.
That's right. That's right. There's on multiple networks tonight, there will be Friends reruns happening all over the place because it works. Yeah. You know what I mean? It works. And so in the world of health insurance, I'm going to date myself a little bit, but back when you didn't see many insurance agents on social because of compliance and whatnot, we were one of the first ones that really did well with it. And we had great support from the carrier that we represented and still do today. And they were actually willing to take a risk with us and let us figure it out with them. And it was awesome. And I'm truly grateful for all the folks at US Health Group for doing that. But like everybody used to ask, you know, dude, what are you doing that's so awesome? We didn't even use video back then. It was all static images. We'd make little cutout ads with offers on them and everything else. But the message was the same, always the same. It was another win for the customer. Who's next? We don't win until the customer wins. That was it. That's all we marketed for years. And we're at the top of the country in our space, just doing that one exact message. How many times could we say the same thing over and over and over again? It's about the customer experience. And if the customer wins, we win. Who's next? It was so simple. And a lot of people try to make it, a lot of folks will complicate that. You know what I mean? Like you said, simpler is better. what are some other things that make I think like all the clips and reels and shorts that are going out in my mind, dude, those are ads, those are commercials, every one of them. And for me, maybe because I haven't worked with the right people, but we like to find out what works the best with organic, and those are the ones that we boost. Like that's good, especially if you're new. What worked what worked with our organic audience, and then we'll pump money behind that because it had a track record,
Yeah.
Versus just kind of going at it blindly. And I used to just throw money at a lot of stuff blindly, and then we got smart and started to really dial in, well, what's working and why, and what can we do differently, and so on and so forth. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is like what does work organically will work on paid. The other thing too is like I'll take organic pieces of content that did well and I'll isolate them. So like, yeah, it does well organically. You boost it. It gets messages, traffic, leads, whatever. But if you took that video and expanded on it more, you could run a wider campaign and go a little bit more broad. And then you actually have the expandability to actually retarget those views because they're longer. So like, I run a lot of like Loom videos as ads, and people are like, why are you running a Loom video as an ad? I'm like, okay, I can share my screen. I can show you all the revenue numbers. I can show you all the ad spend. There's no faking it. Refreshing the screen, you can see everything. And if you want to work with us, just click the link below. I go through a bunch of case studies, and my Loom videos crush. And it's not about like, yeah, dude, production is awesome and quality sick, but the transparency that we need in our world right now will still win.
Yeah.
Like, because people are getting thrown this thing, this ad, that offer. Like, they want to see transparency. And that's just what's won for us. Like, I'll take stuff that I'm doing organically and I'll just reverse engineer it and I'll turn it into separate creatives.
Right.
And then I'll film those creatives and I'll be like, okay, cool. Also, the best way to actually make more money scaling ads is take your frequently asked questions.
Oh, yeah.
So take your FAQs and make a video on each one and just run retargeting. And that will crush.
That's right.
The Hitstreak is powered by our partners at Hitlab Creative Studios. Whether it's launching your brand new podcast, rebranding your current podcast, or taking advantage of any of their other content packages specifically for your social media needs, the Hitlab is a one-stop shop for you. Visit hitlabstudio.com for more.
Ironically, the people, the folks that have made these statements to me are usually pretty young in age, right? So I'm a big, again, the frequency for me, it's everything. And when I look at, I don't know, Brad said this to me one time. He used to say, Nick, it's if you start doing video now and you're consistent with it and you go about it this way, it'll take, if you just put your head down and bust it, 3 or 4 years from now, you'll have life, you'll feel it. It'll be life changing within your business. He was right. Okay. But then later he came back to me and he said, it's not always just about time, because what he did with Andy Elliott is Andy collapsed that time by probably 100%, 75 to 100%. A lot. Like, he collapsed it big time. And so he said, so just pay attention to the number of posts versus, so Andy got to a certain number of posts faster than I did based on how many posts were going out per day based on frequency. And he accomplished better results. So I'm a big believer in frequency. I think it's called social media for a reason. I think how social is your media matters. I think that, I think that there's a lot of noise that you do have to make, even if it's really good, specific targeted noise. I've been guilty of making just noise in the past, and we're always with the team of like, let's be more refined in what we're talking about and what we're asking for. In the church world, we call it make a joyful noise, But can you? I don't think you can over promote. I don't think you can over market. I don't think you can over advertise, because everybody's opted in. They can always change the channel. They can, like, people have asked me, well, aren't you worried people will say they feel like you're posting too much? I'm like, no, because they can unfollow or whatever if they want.
That means that's the same thing with email.
Yeah, they ain't buying nothing.
Yeah, they're not buyers. So like, dude, that's like, we get a lot of those objections with the email clients. They're like, oh, you're going to email my list every day? I'm like, yeah.
Maybe multiple times a day.
And they're like, that's going to piss off my customers. What if my clients leave? I'm like, okay, if your clients leave because of emails, that means that they're not going to be a customer ever again if they're that irritated about an email.
Right. That's
like,
right.
they're headaches.
That's right.
And I want less headaches in my life and my business. Dude, a great point about the frequency. Like, that's why I'm running events. Because regardless of where they are in the journey, if they come to see me in person, faster close rate. If they see me online, I'm nurturing. If they hop on a call, sales touch point. If they buy a low ticket product, sales touch point. Like, all these things, I'm touching on multiple facets, because there's people who came to my events. Like, we had an event in Miami last weekend. We had 16 people buy a package, which is sick. Dude, 5 of those people have been following me for 4 years and never pulled the trigger. So like that lifetime value piece I talk about in the beginning, like it's so important. People don't understand that the attention you grab now doesn't always have to pay now. It's monetized over time. That's because you're building brand, you're posting content, you have higher frequency, and you partner with the people in the space because the association gets people to convert faster.
That's right. That's right. Most of the people that are seeing your ads are probably not today buyers. They're probably tomorrow buyers. Or the next, I know, as you get older, Jason, you start having to do things different in your life. You have to take care of yourself in a different way. I had to start eating better about the age of 40. Literally, like I'm 50 pounds less person than I was in my 30s, and I wasn't sloppy and gross.
Congrats, dude. That's awesome.
Thank you. And it's, when I look back on it, and it's all based on what I was putting in my body, sleep habits, and exercise. So we became more aware of what it was that we were doing. But at the end of the day, and I took too long to get to the point, and I already forgot where I was going with it. So rather than try to make it up and do that, I'll figure it out in a minute. But no, I mean, again, going back to the frequency is everything, quality of everything. I think marketing is simply just a competition for people's attention to gain their trust. Going back, the Pizza Hut ad. So why I told you all that. Well, every once in a while, we're going to treat ourselves, and I'm going to get that stuffed crust pizza I saw on TV, but I'm not getting it today. All right. But if I see the ad one time, the commercial one time, I might forget where I saw it. Where was that? We saw it. Where was it again? But if I keep seeing it over and over again, when it is pizza day at the Hyder House, that's the pizza we're going to get because I saw that commercial more than once. You know what I mean? And again, where are you placing your ads? There's, 2 a.m. an ad on 2 p.m. on NBC versus 2 p.m. is going to be a way different price point, way different audience, and everything else. And understanding who it is. When people pick ad agencies, what are the do's and don'ts of how do you choose one of those? That's I've wasted a lot of time and resources with the wrong people. Yeah. I have an agency today, specifically working on social media stuff because everybody else failed, and it wasn't even close.
I think so the do's and don'ts. Number one thing I see is like the do's are you have to pick somebody who has a proven track record, who's worked with bigger names, because if they can work with bigger names, like with consistency, and they're around long enough, that's usually a good indicator that they're good. So like if you're an agency and you've been up and running for 2 years, to be honest, that's not enough time horizon to go through market changes and see rising ad costs and new softwares and like new trends. Like we've been around for 6 years. So like we've been able to like work with clients for a very long lifetime value. We've had good retention. Yeah. Also, if they don't have a huge team, it means that they don't have enough money coming in to cover payroll. A lot of agencies will say that they have a lot of clients, but they're hiring people overseas for $4 an hour and they're able to afford it that way. So like that's a big thing too. What else would be,
I can't stand the overseas folks just because I'm sure they're great people, but dude, they don't know me.
They don't have the right, like the social intelligence, the right grammar. And they also don't have the congruency to be able to actually adapt to your offer. Like they can't go into your offer and your ad account and be like, okay, like he's in insurance, we should be doing this. Yeah. They're just like, hey, where's the SOP? I'm just going to follow these bullet points. Yeah. Like they don't have that outside awareness.
Have they even made money before? Like if you've never made money, how can you take my stuff and figure out how to turn that ad into a revenue generator?
And dude, that's the biggest shift that we had to make was like about 3.5 years ago, man. Like I'm not going to lie. We had a lot of people overseas because I didn't have a lot of money. I had to make costs. And now we have done interviews and hired leadership that's all US. And I had to transition my mind of like, okay, we have to stop paying people $2,000 a month. We have to start paying people $8,000 to $12,000 a month because that's what people want in the US because rent is too damn high.
That's right.
And their cars, and they had a girlfriend, and they got a kid, and they got health insurance, whatever it is they got to pay for, like they have to pay for these things.
That's right.
And we had to transition our thinking. And that's when I had to start charging more, providing more value, offer stack, more support to keep them around longer and actually build a roadmap for the client to succeed. Also, dude, there are some niches that are very hard for agencies to get results in. Like the offer is really important, but some like agencies don't have a lot of experience in like health insurance, for example.
Right.
Like that's a hard niche. I'm not going to lie, man. We don't have a ton of clients in in health insurance
Dude,
because everybody and their mom runs health insurance ads, and it's hard to build this one offer.
That's right.
That crushes it out of all of them to where organic is going to do really well. But what I would tell you is that I feel like YouTube does better. YouTube ads would probably be better because it's more targeted towards the search and it gives them a visual representation of what they're getting themselves into.
I agree.
So like YouTube would be better. And it's like what agencies also do a bad job with is that if it's working for one person, they just duplicate the same shit for the next one.
That's what they were doing for me, man. And
it doesn't work that way.
No. And the people that they were even copying my stuff for, I'm like, I don't even like that. That's not what we want. It was the same cookie cutter image with a face with a quote and something. And I don't know. It was so not disruptive in a scroll, in a scrolling pattern.
And that's why like the people that come from our events, dude, they crush because we have this one thing on the events that people can't say no to. So they come to the event for 2 days and we go through all this material and then we do it for you. But here's the kicker. We're like, hey, we've went through video scripts. We went through offers. We went through landing pages. We went through this whole ecosystem. Let's just record your ads tomorrow. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we just rented out an Airbnb. It's a big ass villa. The backgrounds are sick. Like if you record your ads here, you're going to get a higher conversion rate.
Yeah, baby.
So the people who bought were just like, hey, meet us at this Airbnb tomorrow. The same guy who shoots my ads will shoot yours. And that's it.
That's right.
And it's easy, fast action. Like that's the one thing in the offer that changed the conversion rate completely. Completely.
All right. So with the time that we got left, and I was going to tell you a story too that my dad taught me back in the day about understanding. You were referring to age and the wisdom that's usually associated with age. It's not always fact, but there's always the exception to the rule. But when I was in between the hospitality industry before I got into insurance, I was working with Dad at our nonprofit, and I remember we were selling stuff in the world of amateur baseball and ads and everything else in the facilities. And there was a guy that we should close, and I just couldn't get it done. And Dad made the statement to me one time. He said, "Well, Nick, you have the wrong color hair for him." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, he wants." It was the dude had white hair. He was like, he wants to talk to somebody with experience. So I'm the guy that should sell him. Versus those other guys that didn't want to work with Dad because he was older and they would have rather worked with me, right? So we were able to actually I learned a lot from that one comment that he made. Because then I started like actually qualifying people based on what they're looking for, what they need, how do I get the message to them and get them to understand what it is that I can do to help them. Yeah. You know what I mean? In that space. So first of all, that's it. But with the, we got to talk about, you're in the middle of writing a book. I want to talk about your event tour. And also I know you guys like folks, so check it out. This dude's the real deal. He can't disclose everybody, but you'll know a few of his clients. Let's talk about a couple of your clients for a minute.
So I have Ryan Pineda, Chris Crone, Carlos Reyes, Dan Bilzerian. One I just got today I can't talk about, unfortunately. Damn, it sucks. Who else?
I mean, just those four.
Jay Pell. I mean, dude, I'm working with a lot of people right now because of just the referrals.
Yeah.
Justin Colby. Like, dude, a lot of people. And it's really exciting, man, because those are easy people to work with because they have brand. They know what it feels like to spend money, and they're just easy as hell to work with. And they all have, like, speaking events and stuff. And they're like, hey, Wojo, you're doing great. Like, come speak at my event. And I'm like, sick. And then I get to share the stage with cool people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is great. Like, it's networking. Like, obviously, you have to prove my worth. I can't just go in there and be like, yeah, like, I'm here. But, like, yeah, dude, it's great. Because, like, the biggest thing I've seen by talking to bigger players is, dude, real recognizes real.
Yes.
Like, we know, and we're on the same wavelength of, like, do we understand it?
Mm-hmm.
And even if I can't help somebody, I can still provide value in some other way.
That's right.
Like, it's not always about, like, oh, okay, you're real, I'm real. Okay, like, we always have to work together. It's like, no, like, dude, I'm doing this thing. Like, what do you think? Yep. Cool, little quick input. You build a relationship with people. Like, that's what you should be doing.
That's right.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, dude, it's really exciting.
What's the, out of all the guys you just named, what's one of the, first of all, they're all spending a legitimate amount of money on ad spends, right? So I was like, I used to think that I was the exception to the rule. I used to think everybody's that made it where I want to go. They all did those things, but I don't have to do all those things. I'll be different, you know, and I was wrong. There's certain things that if you want to build a home, every home's going to have a foundation. Every home's got to have a front and back door. You know what I mean? They're going to have windows. They're going to have a roof. There's certain things that make a home a home. if you're going to build one, there's certain things that all successful businesses and entrepreneurs have in common. And you're not the exception to the rule, and you got to do those. And one of those is at some point in time, you got to spend some money on publicity, on ad space, or on ad spends and everything else, right? You got to get in front of folks, right? Because your competition's doing it. Like, it's crazy. I read a thing this morning that the average person spends 6 hours a day just on Instagram, or 6 hours. What was it? 60 minutes a day just on Instagram, and 6 to 8 hours a day on a device, if not more. So I'm like, if you ain't on that device, you lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to lose your customers to somebody that is, because this is where people are getting their information from.
Yeah. And what people don't understand too is, like, just to add to that, the biggest thing I learned from Dan Kennedy was the person who pays the most for a customer wins. So when you look at all the big guys in the space, like, why are they growing rapidly? It's because they're just willing to pay more for a customer than you are. Because if they don't get them, then they're going to go to somebody else. They value the customer more, not because they want to just break even, but because they know that customer is worth more because they have the right people. They have the right leadership. They have the right processes. They have the right ascension. They have the right upsells. Like, they know how to get the most out of a customer and give them value.
That's right.
That's what building a business is.
I love, dude, Frank Kern references Dan Kennedy all the time. Why don't we talk about Dan Kennedy? He don't get the credit I think he's due.
Dude, he is the god of copywriting and just offers. So smart.
He'll take the same offer and
do
it
it
one
know
way
that,
and then reverse it.
Did you know that he only works with people who fax him?
No.
He doesn't have like email or nothing. He has an assistant, but like if you want to work with him, you have to like send him stuff through fax.
That gets a hit, dude. That's incredible.
Dude, I found out about that like probably about a year and a half ago. And I don't know if it changed since then, but I remember being at an event and this guy was like, yeah, Dan Kennedy, like if you want to pay him, it's $50K or something and you have to like fax him. And I was like, what the hell?
That's kind of badass.
So weird. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's legit, but like I've heard it many, many times. It's really weird.
Dude. So you got to get to work with Dan. You got to find a fax machine. But that's for a small price to pay to work with one of the greats, right? You know
I think he does it because it's like a lead qualifier. It's like, hey, if you don't know how to fax and you're not willing to go to the post office to do it, you can't afford me. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, dude. So talk to me about the Scale Your Ads tour. Like literally, it's coming to a city near you. Let me see. Let me look it up here.
It's on my pin post on Instagram. So like we started February 10th and 11th in Tampa, and then we did Miami, Fort Lauderdale. This week is West Palm Beach, and then we have Jacksonville, Atlanta, Austin, Dallas, New York, and then we come around and do the loop again. And it's till the end of June. And then July is my birthday month. I'm speaking at WealthCon at Ryan's event.
That's a big one, bro.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Dude, I'm really pumped. Yeah. And then, yeah, I'm just going to take the month off because I just like, dude, doing that tour. What people don't realize, man, is like I'm low key exhausted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's tough, but it's for the better of the brand. Like I have to do this.
Well, your businesses are still running in the background during all this, and you're remote, and you know what I mean? So you're having to do everything that you normally do from home. Or from your HQ, now you're doing it from the road, which creates all kinds of different communication.
And like I found a CEO who's great, dude. Like Casey's awesome. He was able to take everything off my plate. And like I'm focusing on all like the real revenue-driven KPIs, which are like, how do I get better salespeople? How do I make it a better environment for them? How do I get them more leads that are qualified? Like how do I get them more pods? How do I get them more stages? And how do I build a bigger household name? The other thing that I'm focusing on this year that me and Casey have came to an agreement on is just like getting an office. Like, we need to have a sales floor. Like, I went to Tower Devereaux's office. Insane. Like, that was, dude, I was like, bro. And this is even awesome. Like, dude, I need an office where I can put people in and be like, dude, hammer the phones and get motivated. Because, like, we're building something real here. The virtual stuff is, like, coming to an end. It's very hard to get people motivated who are on their laptop because they just get distracted. Absolutely. It's really hard.
You know, if it truly was the best way to do it, when you tried out for the high school football team, you know, the coach would be like, hey, guys, congratulations, you made it. Now go home and practice, and I'll see you at the game on Friday. Yeah. But it don't work that way. You got to bring everybody together, learn how to do things together, generate camaraderie, generate a team. It's hard to be a team if you're not coming together, you know. And
like, dude, you're like catching on to that too. Like, you're about to start building a bunch of studios and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude, it's insane, dude. I applaud you. It's great.
Absolutely.
I think it's a huge move.
Absolutely.
You're gonna crush it.
You got to, you got to bring people together. And again, not one problem in the history of mankind do we look back at it and be like, That problem happened because everybody communicated too well. You know what I mean? It's always a break in communication. And it goes back to the ad spend. People can't do business with you. They can't buy with you if they don't know you're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to get their attention one way or the other. The question is, how many people's attention do you got to get and how often to hit your numbers?
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing.
The Hitstreak is powered by Team Hider. Team Hider has been serving you for 11 years and has racked up over 20 national and local awards for excellence in all areas. When it comes to finding the right health plan, we need to consider your family's needs and your family's budget. That's what we do to serve you. To look further and to book an appointment, visit teamhider.com.
How do they get tickets? How can they come? Are these what's the Scale Your Ads tour? How many? What's the average? Like, is it 100 people? Is it 1,000 people?
It's about 125 to 150 people.
So they got to act if they want to get a ticket.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because I usually have a room for about 100. Like the average venue, I have about 130 seats. So I mean, it's cool. Like we'll usually pack the house. There's been a couple events where we had like 80. There's a little bit of drop off. It's whatever. But if they can go to scaleyouraddsevent.com/whatever city.
There you go.
And then they can grab tickets.
Scaleyouraddsevent.com / whatever cities you're going to, right? Folks, we got the Jason Wojo in the building, the owner at Wojo Media. You've seen him featured in Entrepreneur Magazine and New York Weekly's 30 Under 30. I can't even get on that list no more, bro. I can't even get on the 40 Under 40 anymore. Oh man, but that's my problem. I'll deal with that after you're going today. You know what I'm saying? But dude, seriously, this is awesome, folks. You're welcome in advance for everything that we're talking about so far today. Because he's dropping bombs, dropping all kinds of stuff. One of my favorite things you've said so far today is we're day trading attention. That might be one of the most powerful phrases I've heard in a long time, and I'm gonna borrow it if that's all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, dude. I actually got that from Gary Vee.
Okay,
that was when he first started making when he had the Crush It book, and I bought that, and then he was talking about day trading attention. I was like, that's so great. So true.
No doubt. Absolutely. And so what are you speaking on at WealthCon?
Low ticket digital products.
Got it.
Yeah. That's what a lot of the clients that I talked about before wanted from me. That's just been my specialty. I've been running ads for a while now, going to my low ticket starter kit, and people have been wondering, like, how do you run these low ticket offers? I need one.
Yeah.
And we just launched Ryan's 3 days ago, and he's profitable on the front end. Dude, it's awesome. Nuts. Like, he's gassed about it. And I'm like, dude, like, this is what I'm doing for all these people. I'm just building a $27 product, $37 product that's congruent to what they want on the back end. And I'm selling it and getting your ad spend to self-liquidate. So you spend, let's say you spend $2,000, $3,000 a day. I can make it back and you get free leads.
That's right. Because
they're buying something. I don't want people on the phones who don't buy anything. Like, I just don't.
Preach. So, I want to, after, we won't talk about it on the show here, but there's, the Hitlab's got clients here, and there's some things that we want to do better. And I'd like to do that probably. I think we need to do that with you. So, I'll be talking to you about, working with some folks together. I can tell you there's, hey, Alfano, you need to work with, Jason over here. I can tell you Nick Hyder's gonna, you know what I'm saying? So no doubt.
That's great.
All right, let's talk about your book that you're writing, right? So, how long? What made you decide to do that? And then you were mentioning before, writing a book's hard,
dude. Right? So hard, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that made me write the book was because I saw all the people in the space who were running book funnels, and I was like, all right, like this is cool. Free plus shipping, just pay for the shipping, and get a physical book in their hand. And I was like, like I need to have a book because also I can, if I push it enough up the rankings, I could do like the, Wall Street Journal's bestseller and Amazon bestseller and all these things and just have like, it's all part of the ecosystem piece. Yeah, ads are cool, podcasts, but if I have a book in your hand in your house, you can't forget about me. Like all the content stuff is all intellectual, but I'm like, hey, let's get a physical book in your home and you won't not be a customer anymore. You're always going to remember me.
That's right.
And, also, it's a great way to build the email list. It's a great way to get them to book a call and sell them high ticket and just like make more on the front end. And when I saw that, I was like, all right, I'm going to make a book. And I wasn't able to go home for Thanksgiving because one of my family members got the you-know-what and I couldn't go. So that was interesting. They were freaking out about it. But like, yeah, I was sitting there all alone during Thanksgiving and I was like, what should I do? Like, I cancel my flight. Okay. there's this app called Transcribe, and you speak into it and it makes it into a Google Doc. So I just wrote down 26 chapters and I just spoke on it for 14 hours straight on Thanksgiving Day. And then I sent it off to editors now, and they're going through editing versions. And that's how I made the book.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. When is do you have a release date? Do you have a publisher picked out?
It's going to be in the next 45 days.
45 days?
Yeah. I'm on like the second to last round of editing, and then it's going to go into printing, which is about 21 days. So
what's the name of the book?
Ads That Sell.
Ads That Sells, the name of the book. When this comes out, it will be on the shelves, I'm pretty sure, right? So where can they get the book?
If they go to adsthatsellbook.com, I'm taking pre-orders for it now, but yeah.
So go to adsthatsellbook.com, and if you can do a pre-order, do it. If it's live and it's selling, buy it. I know I'm gonna. My kid's gonna read it. My son is 14. He reads 20 minutes a day. He writes down. He's got a power list. We've taught him to time block. Sends it to us every night for what he's got to do the next day. Did he win or learn for the day? Because he gets paid based on performance. And one of the things he's got to do is read 20 minutes. Right now, he's reading Meltzer's new book, David Meltzer's new book. He just finished Brad's before, seeing the notes. But he always has to write down what he learned in those 20 minutes on his power list, so we can read it. I can ask him questions if I want. Usually the books he read are something I've already read first. He'll be reading your book. No doubt. This is a skill that everybody needs to have, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Jason, dude, like seriously, I could sit here and talk to you all day long, but I wouldn't put you through that. Is there anything else, like, what have we missed? Is there anything else that we got to get out of that we need to bring to the audience today? Like, while I got you, bro, I have a responsibility to get it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, the biggest message that I have for business owners and just people in general watching is like, I think the world is kind of like shifting. Like, I'm not going to get into specific things, but like there's things going on overseas and things going on in our system. And it's like, dude, you guys have to be prepared. It is your duty to make more money. So regardless of where you are in your business or where you are personally, like you have to start paying to play, not just for yourself, but to be in the right rooms and provide more for your family.
Yeah.
Like you were talking before in the beginning about, you know, how we're really immature at our age. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm 26. I'm not the most mature person in the room. I'm not. There's things that I don't catch up on. But I am a lot more ahead than a lot of people who are 26. No doubt. like it's this self-awareness piece too. Like we got to start being more self-aware and not so in this mindset of like, oh, I'm just going to work really hard and make money. Like that doesn't work anymore.
Right.
Like the world's not going to promote you as a leader when all you do is work hard. You have to work smart too. You have to be someone that people look up to because the world now needs more leaders than ever. And it's a little worrisome too, because like I see things going on in the world and I'm just like, dude, a lot of people are going to be really blindsided. Like, you know, you got to start acquiring skills right now.
Yeah. And
your bad money beliefs and the way you look at time poorly is going to really dictate like how you look at spending money to acquire skills. And it's really upsetting because like I try to pour my heart into people, but like some people are just not meant to be fixed or preached to for that matter. And
man, how do you decide? I know how I decide. How do you decide? Who is, like Coach Burt said that to me one time. He said, Nick, how much time will you spend with somebody before you find somebody that wants your time more or that deserves your time more? How much will you pour into somebody before you realize that there's other people out there that want it more?
Yeah, dude, it's tough. I just look for like people who are hungry and people who like just at least try. Like the crazy part is that if you just try, like you'll get more than most people. Like it's not like, yeah, I talk about being smart, but like you acquire the skill, like not the skill, but like the adaptability of being smart by just doing a little bit more in the beginning to prove your concept. Like if you just work really hard in the beginning and, you know, you listen to people who know things that you don't and you drop your ego and you learn, you'll get further ahead and people will respect you more. The problem is that working hard and dropping your ego requires work and effort. And most people are just lazy and it's sad, but like everything that people want is on the other side of that.
Dude, you're on fire right now. I want to stay here for a second because I feel like this is a PSA piece right here, man. You know, and like, you know, you met Dale up front. He's my cousin. He's a little bit older than me. Dale's actually retired, believe it or not. He's here by choice. He's actually retired from a career. He's done very well for himself, and he's here because he wanted to still have a purpose. He still has had a call to do something, and he's been irreplaceable here with what he does. But you know, when Dale, especially when we were recruiting entrepreneurs and insurance agents, I was always telling him, hey man, you know, don't give everybody as much grace. You're a little too nice. Okay. Especially with the younger ones. That's what older people usually do. The fatherly figure comes out. Dale's literally a grandparent, so he sometimes the leash is too long, and especially with folks that were younger. Like he was taught in the company, the corporation that he came from. He was like, I don't care if you're in a ditch, leave your car there and get to the office on time and do your job. People are counting on you. Today, like when Dale sat over there, literally we were in the studio one day and somebody had no-showed or they were younger for whatever reason, but they didn't no-show, but they basically called out last minute. It was because something silly like, maybe like their dog had a runny nose or like some of the stuff that we got was like, why don't the younger generations understand how much people are counting on them and how much, if you truly, like, they want to make a lot of money, but you can't make a lot of money if you're replaceable. And you definitely can't make a lot of money if you can be easily missed.
Yeah.
Because
it's the way you do one thing, way you do everything else. Like, dude, like, for example, right? And I was going to touch on this too about the below 30 thing. I see a lot of guys out there that are 35, 40. They have kids. And, like, to be honest, man, they're still not men. Like, they're still children.
My wife helped raise me, is what I like to tell people. I was like, my mom did a great job. But then I left, and not by her choice. And then I went backwards. Yeah. And then my wife literally has been raising me ever since.
And it's like, dude, things like that where, like, okay, you have a problem with a dog or your kid. Like, dude, is your duty to make more money so that you can afford a babysitter, afford a maid, afford these things to buy your time back.
That's right. Like,
dude, I will never clean my house. I will never make an excuse on why I can't do something. That's craziness. Right. It's like, dude, you use money to buy back time. You use money as a tool. So it's your duty to make more of it.
Absolutely. And you get paid on performance, right? Performance matters, and you can't perform if you're not there.
Yeah.
You can't perform if you're not there. And that just, man, that's my biggest, I tell my son all the time, I was like, bro, you're going to win. It's going to be never easier for you to win because now, again, it'll come with some obstacles but dude, if you just show up and you'll just outwork everybody, like there's a toughness that we've put in him that everybody, most of his people that he's competing with, they just aren't going to have. Yeah. So he's gonna beat them because of that. But can you imagine, like what are some of the other things that we've heard? What are some of the things that you've heard with young folks as to why they can't do something or won't show up or something like that? You can tell this bothers me. I'm staying on it for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest things that I see are like, it's either something about like, oh, well, I don't have X amount of money yet, or I'm trying to save X amount of money, or I have something going on tonight and, I just can't make it that early in the morning or something stupid, dude. Also, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, dude, this is a good one. Okay, when people tell me that their friends invited them to a wedding so they can't make something, okay, I'm not like against that, but if you're not the best man or the whatever the hell it's called, like, why are you going?
If you're not in the wedding.
Like, dude, if you had a chance, like, for example, right, if I was asked to be on this podcast and one of my friends was having a wedding, I'll be honest, dude, I'd rather be here.
No doubt.
What you say yes to is what you say no to, and what you say no to is what you say yes to. Yeah. I'm just a firm believer, dude. And like, I'm just like brute force. I will grind harder than most people.
Because you won't have to do it as long.
Yeah. It's like, dude, am I going to like 6 hours of a wedding? Like, yeah, dude, I'll go and have fun and drink. But like, dude, I'm going to have a massive hangover in the morning. I know how weddings go. It's just like, I'm going to be, and then I got to get on a plane, and then all the air differential is going to make my head hurt.
Yeah.
And then I have a migraine, and then I go home. Or would I rather connect with somebody in my space who's crushing it and build a better relationship there?
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. It's just, or like, oh, I got to go to my kid's graduation or like my friend's graduation. Like, dude, it doesn't matter. Like their name's going to get said for 4 seconds and they leave. If it's your kid, go.
Absolutely. Family first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what we talked about before. Obviously the choices you make lead you to where you're at today. Where everybody is in their life today, every choice they've made led them there, but we're just, at the end of the day, it's all about our choices. And I think, I say it all the time, when you want to tell what's important to somebody, just pay attention to what they spend their time on.
Yeah.
Consistency is everything else. But like, if you're not making the money you want to make, if you're not, taking care of your family at home or providing for your wife or whatever it may be, you don't have time. Like, people get sick. Can you imagine if Michael Jordan didn't have the flu game? You know what I mean? If he was just like, I don't feel good, I'm not going to play. Basketball history wouldn't be what it is today. How many guys in the NBA today were inspired by that flu game? Wouldn't be there had he not done something that he didn't feel like doing.
Yeah.
And that is at the end of the day, the definition of discipline, isn't it? Just doing what you didn't feel like doing.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, well, dude, seriously, congratulations. You're a breath of fresh air, man. This has been awesome. Like, seriously, I'm looking forward to working with you further and getting to know you better. And obviously, we need to be doing some business. Straight up, we need to be doing some business, no doubt. Absolutely.
The Hitstreak is powered by RAC Financial. When it comes to your credit card merchant processing, RAC Financial is efficient, reliable, and trusted. At the end of the day, when it comes to processing your credit card payments, they make it simple, the way it's supposed to be. Check out RAC Financial.
Folks, we got Jason. All right, I promised everybody I would do this. All right, and I haven't done it yet. So you go by Jason Wojo. But folks, can I just spell his last name for you? Wojciechie. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm not done. I'm halfway through. Chowicz. All right, if that was on Wheel of Fortune, nobody would win. So how do you pronounce it perfect?
Wojciechowicz.
Wojciechowicz.
Yeah, you got it.
Wojciechowicz.
Sick.
That was my fourth time's a charm, right? Jason Wojciechowicz, but he goes by Jason Wojo. He's the owner at Wojo Media. Dude, 26-year-old, absolutely crushing it in the ad space. Folks, you need to work with him. Give him a call. How do they get in touch with you if they want to? If they want to figure out how to work with you?
Yeah, so they can go to my Instagram at the Jason Wojo, and they can click the link in my bio. It takes them to jasonrunsads.com/scale, and they can book a free demo call there, or they can go to www.thewojomedia.com, and they can book a call there as well.
Dude. So when you're coming back to Nashville next time, you got to be, so every once in a while I bring folks back for a second or even third time. Like, so you're going to be one of those folks, I can already tell you.
Yeah, sick.
Right. So, we got to get you back in town later this year, or we could even do something over, in a virtual setting if we need to. Folks, we're going to be doing a live call the week that this episode comes out as well. You want to tune into that. It's going to be awesome, right?
Awesome.
Any final thoughts as we bring this sucker to a close?
I mean, that's really it. The only thing I'm going to say to the audience is like, what we're doing right now is unprecedented in the ad space. No one's able to run 22 events in a row, 1 week, every week, and they're free. So I spent $430,000 on free events to run them, and I asked for nothing in return. And we're doing something that no one else is doing because we have the right business, we have the right people, we have the right leadership, and we're building something real here. And if you're going to choose anybody in the space, might as well be me because I'm doing more than everybody else.
Boom.
So,
I would say that this isn't your profession. This is a ministry for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely a ministry, dude. Changing business owners' lives one at a time, baby. One ad spend at a time.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, dude, seriously, congratulations. This life's going to be good to you. You're going to enjoy it. So I hope you inspire many, many, many others. Because when I was your age, I was on the way out as a baseball player. And dude, I was lost for the next little while, for the next minute, for the next long minute. I was lost trying to figure out what my calling was, and I was that guy that was always waiting for somebody else to kind of do it for me. I think, you know what I mean? Who's going to give me the spot? I never was. Yeah. You don't get the date if you don't ask for it. I didn't get the opportunity that I didn't ask for either. You know what I mean? So, and definitely learn about some money.
Yeah.
Get financially literate, right?